Yeah. Mr. Motivation. Look, you know where to come to if you ever get in trouble. 0 to 100 hours, you should get there on the double. Never deviate the plan once you get outside the huddle. Cause whenever life hits you, they expecting you to fumble. This the observation post. We got vision coast to coast. We had tug of war with life and everybody needs some rope. We gon' take over the world until there's nothing left to conquer. I ain't worried about a sucker trying to infiltrate the bunker. It's the
bunker. Yeah, this the bunker. This the bunker. Welcome to the bunker. This the bunker. Yeah, this the bunker. This the bunker. Welcome to the bunker. This the
good people. What's up? Let's go. Happy day wherever you at. Shouts out to you. Some of you are carrying responsibilities nobody sees while quietly wondering if you're doing enough. Tonight matters because this isn't just a conversation about resilience. It's about what happens when life forces you to confront your limits and keep moving forward anyway. If you stay with us, you may discover that your greatest breakthrough isn't found in doing more, but in being honest about what you're carrying and learning how to carry it differently. You're tapped into the Breakthrough Bunker, where we don't avoid pressure, we learn to grow through it. I'm your host, Murph, a.k.a. Mr. Motivation, flat out excited to be here. Remember, this space is for people carrying real responsibility, people trying to lead while still healing, people balancing family, purpose, work, health, and everything in between. Whether you're here live or catching the replay, stay with us. This one's real. Tonight conversations, it matters because people have been taught that strength means carrying everything alone. Our guest today learned through personal adversity, health challenges, and service that the real strength often looks very different than what we've been told. There are people watching right now trying to balance responsibilities while silently questioning whether they are enough. If you've ever wondered how to keep showing up when life doesn't go according to plan, lean in, and we're going to bring her out to the bunker. But before I do that, I always forget. I wonder if I can't do my chat. I always forget to hit that chat. We bring her out to the bunker, Miss. Excuse me. I was about to misspeak. Bringing out Verkeya to the stage. Verkeya, what up, girl?
What's up?
See, I'm so like trained, regimented.
But we're equals. We were born in the same era. We don't need to do that. I think it's hilarious when people who are, comfortable with one another, as well as, in the same age bracket, are doing it's just strange. Those are things that I expect from students, from, my son's friends, but not people who are my peers.
Listen, hey, you see, I did that auto correct. I did the correct. I just gotta, I'm with it. Oh man, Verkeya, it's been too long. But before we get in, let's tell the people how we connected.
Oh my gosh, that was 2007, 2008, somewhere in there. I was because I know I graduated from NYU in 2008, so it's been about 18 years when I was in grad school. And I was doing work study at the time. I don't know why I was in your building in particular, probably dropping off mail or picking up mail, because that's what I was mostly doing for my work study job.
Right, because we were at NYU. I was at accounts payable.
Yes.
And I was the mail guy. I was a glorified mail clerk. I loved that job. I did.
Pretty cushy.
I did. 18 years. Wow. That's all right. We still look good though. Look what I'm talking about. We aging gracefully.
Well, gotta take care of yourself.
You got it's all about self-care. I've gotten so regimented and asking mainly my dudes, right? Last year I lost probably 3 dudes. They may have just been at 40, mid-40, worked out, all the things. And so I've been real like I'll be talking to homie, what you doing for self-care? You training? How you eating? Like I'm like actively asking them, but I ask my dudettes as well. Where to start? As I was prepping for us, I'm like, I know her, but it's like it's been like 18 of them things. You know what I'm saying? You out there living.
Yeah, life has been lived, to say the least.
Let's take it back. So before advocacy, doctoral work, motherhood, the community, before they knew your name, like who was Verkeya as a young lad, a young girl?
Well, I'm a Harlem girl. I still live in Harlem. I'm actually raising my son in the apartment I grew up in, which is a unique experience because there are a lot of memories for me here, even before he was in existence.
Right.
But I grew up here at first with my parents, my mother and my father. And I say my father, but we are not biologically connected, but he is my father because he's raised me since I was a child. And there was my aunt and my uncle who also lived in the house, and my cousin, and then my godmother and my godsister. So there was like a lot of us in this one apartment for a while. And then shortly everybody started moving out. So then it was just my parents. My mom had my sister in 1985. And then shortly thereafter, my brother was born in 86. They're Irish twins. And it was an interesting experience because my brother and sister have both of the same parents, and the 3 of us share a mom. I am the oldest. And so, responsibility started pretty early. Help me with your sister and brother. Watch your sister and brother, like those kinds of things. Cooking, cleaning, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, the older I got, the more responsibility built. But I will say, it's an interesting dynamic. And I actually had a really hard conversation with my family a few weeks ago because I was watching a YouTube video, The Power of a Single Story. And it's basically saying I'm not a monolith, right? Like I am multiple things at the same time. And we have to look at people in that way. But in my family, it's an interesting experience. As a Black woman, I'm othered in so many ways, by gender and by race. And then adding my invisible disability, that's another way I'm othered. But it's a different experience when you feel othered in your own family. And so, sometimes it felt like the 5 of us, which was what was presented to the world. And then sometimes it felt like the 4 of them and I was left out. And so it became a very tumultuous experience growing up in my family at times, and truly had to figure out how to navigate that. And not ever, our parents' generation, they didn't talk about things. So it always felt hard to start those kind of conversations because that's not their social norm. And so, like I said, I was recently able to have this conversation with my family. And what I appreciated most is that everybody responded, and also kind of surprised about it, because my dad is not the person to often respond in those kind of conversations.
Right.
So just, nod and shake his head.
So wait, 2 things. How did that conversation go and why now?
Well, the conversation was via text message. We didn't actually have a get together.
Okay.
It was via text message, and it happened because, like I said, I was doing homework, and one of the videos we had to watch for homework was The Power of a Single Story. Now, mind you, I've seen that video a bunch of times. It's not the first time I had ever heard of it, but it was different because there was recently an incident that took place, and it was easy to reference what I was feeling because of that incident. And so it was something that I could draw on that was tangible. It wasn't like I was talking about something that was so long ago. Now,
Right.
while it was connected to the past, it was very present because there was an incident that happened when we were with some of our extended family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to say, like, this is what I experienced in that moment. And so they were able to, have a tangible thing
Right. They
to
can
relate it
digest that.
to. Yeah.
Now, you shared that one of your beliefs that you have wrestled with is I'm not enough. And I don't think beliefs like that just show up one day. You remember when you first felt like that as much as
Yeah, I must have been 5 years old. So like I said, I was raised by my mom and my dad, who is not biologically related to me. But my biological father and I did not have a relationship. I want to say I met him maybe twice that I can remember. And there was always that feeling of like, how come you didn't fight to be in my life, or how come you didn't want me, to be a part of your life? And that feeling started from there. And he actually was murdered. So there was never a conversation as a, mature adult to have with him. Yeah.
Wow. What age was he murdered? What age were you?
So I was about 5 going on 6, because that was 1986, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
We share similar stories. I'm actually gonna tap into this power of a single story because my pops was murdered when I was 6, and I never knew him. I met him like twice, one in the street, double salute, and the other one, we spoke, and I'm buy you some sneakers next week, and next week came and he was in there. So I like never had a mature conversation or immature any kind of conversation with him. So I, when I was in a school the other day, a career day, and I told them, whether you have a good relationship or not, but you still have a person there that you can even
have a
try
conversation
to communicate with. So
yeah.
I say, go for it, because some of us didn't get that opportunity. Man, Now, a lot of people become really good at functioning. You talk about this a lot, like just carrying things. A lot of people become really good at functioning while carrying something painful underneath. What did people see when they looked at you, and what were they missing? What they didn't know?
I think people saw an angry child, somebody who just wasn't a nice person. And that was farthest from the truth. And I actually said that to my family. It was a protective factor. It's like, I don't want anybody in my space, so I'm going to behave this way so they stay away from me, right? But underneath, there were all these other things that were going on that were not addressed. And I think, again, the stigma of mental health and in our community, and just not being informed enough to say, my kid needs help. Some therapy might help them, right? I remember I must have been like 16 or something. I was 15. I was 15. And my parents took me to see a psychiatrist. And I won't tell you why that was, but they took me to see a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist was like, he doesn't need a psychiatrist because psychiatrists administer medication, right? She needs therapy. She needs a counselor. She needs somebody to talk to. And what people don't understand is that everybody needs somebody to talk to who has, is not in relation to you, right? Like doesn't have a relationship, because it gives they don't have any stake in things one way or the other, right? Like that's, it's a different experience. So I think where, there were times where my parents could have, should have, but didn't. Again, we're talking about a different generation and what therapy meant to that generation and stigma that comes along with that, so. But I really feel like, those things, you're right, they don't happen overnight. They become a part of who you are. And it's like, and I mean, as I've grown up, people who knew me as a child always say, "Oh my God, you're such a different person." I'm like, I'm not a different person. I'm better now, right? Like, and as an adult, I live with chronic illness. I live with an autoimmune disease. I live with an invisible illness. Lupus. If you looked at me, if you saw me, you wouldn't know, but internally there are all these things happening that people just don't see.
You talked about well, I know we don't come back and touch on lupus. Ironically enough, so I don't know a whole lot about it. I know probably about 4 or 5 people close to me that live with it though. But you talked about becoming part of the identity. So at what point, because I know you do a lot of stuff with this just impact work, helping people, at what point did responsibility become part of your identity? Not something that you did, but something that you became.
I think responsibility was always a part of who I was, just by nature of being the oldest child.
Oh yeah,
right? Like that's definitely a part of it. But it kind of, once I got to, I want to say college, it was like the thought of, okay, I'm not just going to school for my parents anymore. This is for my life, and I have to be responsible for my life when I graduate. And that became a different feeling in relation to school, because it wasn't just about passing to get it done. It was more about, how do I make a life for myself out of this, right? And so the responsibility for myself became very different once I got to undergrad. And by the time I graduated, I thank my aunt for allowing me to have some experiences right after undergrad, because I came home and I was home for the summer. And by September, I had moved out my parents' apartment and moved into my own basement apartment, that my aunt gave me a whole lease to, and I had to pay rent. And while it was in a protective space, it was like, this is what life is. So if you want to be an adult, then you got to be a whole adult, right? And so I'm appreciative of that experience, because it helped to grow me up and understand what, like, paying bills and all of those things, so the responsibility continued to grow. I think where, being responsible for community, I always knew that I wanted to go away to school, have that experience, but come back to New York, right? Because this is the city that raised me. This is the city who made me who I am. And there were so many people who played an integral role in me becoming who I am, like my aunt who passed away. And yeah, I mean, and it's ironic by the time I graduated from NYU, she was gone already, but she was the reason why I went back and got my master's, because as she was passing away, she was like, you need to go back to school and get your master's. I don't know what you're waiting for. And I was just like, I think I want to be a guidance counselor. And she was like, don't get a counseling degree, get a social work degree, because you can use it in multiple places. And I remember the night of my graduation dinner, I was bawling, and my mom was like, what is going on? And my friend was with me, and he looked at her and he was like, Stacy. And she was like, oh, and it was like, it's one of those things, the people who help you become responsible for yourself. But also, she taught me to be responsible for my community. She worked for 1199. So I worked many summers with 1199. That to me, responsibility built as I got older, and it changed, right?
Right.
I'm still as responsible for my brother and sister anymore. Well, kinda, but always, but not really. They're both functional adults, thank God. But they're still my baby brother and sister, right? Like, I still look at them like that, although they're very grown. And it's a different kind of responsibility now, So yeah.
Let's talk about the one your responsibility that you're directly responsible for. We're talking about motherhood. Now,
that's an interesting story, in that, my road to motherhood was not easy. I had 2 miscarriages and a stillborn before I got the responsibility of caring for a walking, talking, moving miracle.
Mm.
And I, so my first miscarriage was how I got diagnosed with lupus.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to see my neurologist because I was suffering from migraines. It was so bad that like literally I was living in the dark. And she, she was like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I had a miscarriage and the migraines are back." And she was like, "Wait a minute, you had a miscarriage? I'm so sorry." She was like, "I had another patient who had similar symptoms and a miscarriage." And then that's how we kind of like got the ball rolling, to test. But it was so many, like, as I look back, there was so many symptoms prior that nobody ever put together, if you will. And that's the hard part about lupus, because it's the great mimicker. It mimics so many other things. But becoming a mom, I will say this: having a stillborn was my biggest loss to date. And it changes you. It changes you. It changes how you look at life. It changes how you interact with people. Like, my brother's always like, "You always keeping up with people and connecting with people." And there's a reason for that, because I don't want to ever leave this earth and feel like I didn't connect with the people I truly care about and have, known for periods of time, or whatever the case may have been. It's those things are important to me. So I kind of foster, times where we're not getting together because things are sad, but just because, and that's a bad habit in our community. Every time there's a funeral, it's like a family reunion. But who wants to get together because somebody passed away? We should just get together just because. I made sure that, like, my son has life insurance. Because I'm a mom who lost a child, and I was not prepared. I mean, now granted, it was in utero, but I wasn't prepared to take care of his services. And that was a big, like, regret and guilt for me, if you will. So, now that I am raising my now 11-year-old, Lord help me, it's interesting because that responsibility, it's heavy for me. He doesn't know life without a mom with chronic illness. And I often feel guilty about that. Like, it's on Sundays, I want to be making baked chicken and macaroni and cheese and collard greens, but I can't do that. That's a lot of work for me. It's going to tire me out. I'm going to have a flare up. So those kind of things are hard. Like, I have to plan days in advance to do basic things that people find easy, so I try to be mindful of that, but I also try to give him wonderful experiences, even the smallest things, like going to see Masters of the Universe in the movies and not waiting for it to come on TV. Going to Broadway plays is something that we do often. We have started visiting museums. So those kind of things, like, we live in New York City. There's a lot to do.
Hello. And
I want to take advantage of that, but also build those memories with him. So those are things I like to do, especially in the summertime, get outside and have those moments. And I mean, his dad and I were married when we had him. We have since, divorced. So we co-parent as best we can. But even, I'm his primary parent. So it's like, okay, I have to make sure I'm as healthy as possible so he can be okay. And that's where the responsibility really comes in. Because if I can't get out of bed, then how do I take care of him?
Now, you shared something that stood out to me, and thank you for sharing. You said it forced me to become honest about my capacity. And that's not a sentence most people arrive at quickly. What happened that made you realize you couldn't keep carrying everything?
Lupus. When my son was born and we came home from the hospital, by that time I was like on 40 milligrams of steroids. And the flare-ups were constant. And there were so many things that were changing in my body and things that came very easy to me that I couldn't do anymore. I used to marathon run, which I can't run half a block without feeling like I'm about to die these days. But it forces you to look at what you are no longer able to do, and those are also losses, right? Like, I'm not the person I once was. I have broken both of my feet, so walking is difficult for me. And I had surgery last summer on one of my feet. And I honestly and truly realized I can't do everything. And sometimes that means, no, we can't do XYZ today. I have to take a break. Or calling his dad, like, yo, I need you to take him outside. I can't do it today, or I need you to come pick him up from the hospital because I had to go to the ER, and nobody wants their kids to go to the ER with them.
Right.
But I didn't have a choice. My parents live about 45 minutes away from me. My sister lives even further away, and my brother just moved to Georgia. So I don't have like immediate people right in my neighborhood, except now I actually, in 2024, spring of 24, I became a Delta. And so my line sisters have stepped up in a lot of ways for me. And I built a whole new network of people. And it's hard to ask for help. It's hard to say, I can't do this by myself, because I'm so used to doing things on my own and not asking for help. And so it's been a journey to say, you know what? I don't have capacity to do this. So let me ask somebody if they can support me in this, journey.
Well, congrats on, crossing over the Delta Sigma Theta world. A lot of my dope shorties don't do that to say deltas. Man, thanks for sharing. Let's do a quick reset. If you're just joining us, welcome. This is the Breakthrough Bunker. Tonight we've been sitting in something many people understand but rarely talk about: the pressure of carrying responsibility while quietly questioning whether you're enough. Verkeya has been sharing what it looks like to navigate motherhood, adversity, health challenges, and purpose without losing yourself in the process. Coming up next, we're going to go a little deeper into resilience, grief healing, and what it means to keep showing up. One of my favorite lines: keep showing up. So stay with us. Before we go deeper, we're going to tap into the 3-2-1 with Murph, where I share 3 thoughts, 2 quotes, and 1 prompt for you. Thought number 1: sometimes the strongest people aren't carrying the most. They're carrying what actually belongs to them. What would change if you stopped measuring your strength by how much you can endure? Number 2: responsibility becomes dangerous when it turns into self-neglect. The question isn't whether you can do it. The question is what it's costing you. And the last thought: growth often begins when you stop pretending you're unlimited. What if your next breakthrough isn't found in doing more, but in becoming honest about your capacity? 2 quotes: resilience isn't pretending you're okay. It's telling the truth and continuing forward. Honesty is often the first act of courage. Quote number 2: you cannot pour from a cup you've convinced yourself doesn't matter. Your well-being isn't selfish. It's necessary. Prompt for you. Question: where in your life are you carrying something that was never yours to carry alone? Like that one.
That's an interesting question. I think I would say my existence in and of itself, because that's something that I think my mom and I share, and that connection or lack of connection to my biological father. I think that's something that that was something that was between the two of them. And then I was a product of that, and it became my thing, right? And somewhere along the line, that transfer happens. And I think now that I'm a parent, we have to be honest with how our actions impact our children and what that looks like, So I would say that's where.
Appreciate that. Before we dive in some more, we're gonna do a spotlight. Usually we do an org, but today, given the circumstances, the state of the Empire State of New York, I want to take a moment to spotlight New York City. Now, listen, let's be clear. I'm Brooklyn through and through. So I rock with Brooklyn.
We know.
Brooklyn, that's not changing. But I'm also a proud New Yorker. And when one of our teams brings a chip back to the city after 50 years or so, you got to celebrate that. So what stands out to me, though, isn't just the championship. It's the journey. Jalen Brunson, dope dude. He didn't become Jalen Brunson overnight. In Dallas, people saw pieces of what he could be. In New York, though, he found the environment, opportunity, and trust to become who he already was capable of being. And that's a reminder for all of us. Sometimes the problem isn't your potential. Sometimes it's your environment. And because sometimes that growth, it takes longer than you thought it would. So if you're still becoming, keep going. Keep showing up. Your environment matters. Your timing matters. And your breakthrough may be closer than it looks. Congrats, Knickerbockers. Go, New York. Go, New York. Go. We're going to get back to the conversation. All right, Miss Verkeya. Listen, you see how I caught that real quick? Oh, man. Yo, you're a whole fool, Mom. Let me see. I know we talked about lupus. I don't know if you answered this, but I'm thinking, because I know I got some listeners that, this could help. Lupus didn't just affect your health. It changed your relationship with certainty, control, the future. What did that diagnosis force you to confront about yourself that you may never have discovered otherwise?
That I'm not able to do things all on my own. Like I have to ask for help. And I think that's the hardest thing in my whole journey of my life, period, is being able to ask for help. That is such a skill to learn. And the reality is that Black women we're socialized to take care of things, to just do it, do it with a smile, do it if you're hurting, do it. But that strong Black woman schema, that superwoman syndrome is real. And it can become maladaptive, right? Like at this point in my life, I can't do it all by myself. I have to ask people to help me in certain aspects. Having surgeries, which I've had many, unfortunately, that's one of those things. Breaking your feet and having to wear a cast, that requires asking for help, because you can't maneuver the way you would normally maneuver. And for somebody, last summer was a struggle. I had surgery on my foot and I was stuck in the house pretty much all summer. And there was a lot of depression around that, because summer's my favorite time of year other than Christmas. And in summertime, I'm outside. So not only am I not able to go outside because I physically can't do it, but then, school coupled with that, it was rough trying to get through and navigate that. So, that inability to just get up and go or do it on your own is hard. And then having to say, hey, can you help me? Can you food shop? Can you? And I don't like feeling like a burden to people.
Yeah, let me tell you something. But it's funny, because I'm sure you that person that show up for people, right? And I think at the end of the day, it's that cycle, like people gonna do it for you. It's just hard. Like I'm like you. I remember I had back surgery. I'm out of there for a year, and I had my big bro. My mom's. I ain't had no money back in the day, so moms couldn't fly out. then my big bro was there. And he had to have like, bro, he had to look out. You know, it's like, I need you to hold me down. That's crazy. But I tell you what, I pay it forward. Like I help people now. They be like, yo, why are you helping me? Like, they don't even know. You know, Murph, chapter, say, 35, but chapter 22, somebody did this for me. You know what I mean? So I know what it's like to need somebody to be there. So now, you know, I'm like, hey, help. Hey, buddy, I need you to tap in. But it's hard, though. I had to get there because I had back surgery, shoulder surgery, where I'm like that dude, I could do everything. But when life's, and it sits you down because you need to be sat down for that season. And then it's like, dang, what I'm supposed to learn. Because it's not the why me, oh my, because things are going to happen. It's how you respond. And you're a testament to that. But I all the way, like you know, feel what you're saying, because I've been there, having to depend on people, and it sucks, right? And if you don't have the right people to depend on, oh, goodness. You know, so I tell people, be kind to people, show up, just keep showing up and keep helping people. But yeah, I appreciate that share. I wanted to get to you giving us some advice, because you're like a wealth of advice. Wait, talk to me. You wrote a book? Did you write a book?
I've written 2 books, actually.
Tell me about the book. Brag on yourself. Come on with it.
I'm not good at that either. And one of my friends yelled at me about that. I wrote Intertwined, and it took me 10 years to get that published. I have been writing that for so long. And then the opportunity availed itself. And I was just like, well, I think this is the time. So that came out in 2020. And then during the pandemic, I wrote my second book called Entangled. And I think what I love about both books is that the characters kind of intermingle. So they're 4 separate stories, but the stories kind of intermingle with each other, especially Entangled. My brother actually, who's a minister, he spoke at a protest that we went to that my younger cousin had put together. And that was so powerful because, you know, we grew up hearing about protests and all of those, you know, speakers, but to have somebody you're close to not only, you know, put the protest together, but then, you know, a close family member speak at it was so powerful for me. So with his permission, I made that the focal point of the second book. And so all of each group of characters ends up, you see them at the protest, hearing his speech, but it's from 4 different lenses, right? So that was really emotional for me because 2020 was hard. Like, you know, that was a huge time of isolation. And at the time, like literally the day we were sheltered in place was Caden's birthday. And so he turned 5 and we got told to stay in the house, which was rough. But it also was very scary in that now my son, who is a young Black boy, is becoming aware of racism and, you know, systemic racism and how that impacts us. And I couldn't hide the protests from him. They were all on the street. Every time we went outside, there was something happening. So I had to have those and begin those difficult conversations with him and his dad. And I, you know, we had to have talks about how we navigate this process. And it became emotional. So I poured a lot of myself and what was happening into the book. And I would say, you know, it's one of those things where I started writing book number 3, but then I went back to school. And so I kind of iced it.
It's on the shelf.
Yes, it's been shelved. But I hope that once I'm finished school, I'll get back to it. And what I've done with my novels is, while these characters are not real people, a lot of the stories that you're reading are parts of my life. They're experiences of my life. There are elements that are super important to me that I've put into my books. especially like therapy, because I'm a social worker. I do therapy sometimes, not right now. But those kinds of pieces, you know, child loss, physical violence, all of those things are elements that I've added to the book. Both books actually. And the second one of the characters has lupus. And that was really hard for me because it forced me to think about what my reality may be at some point, right? And so that was difficult. Yeah.
I'm gonna need 2 author copies.
We'll work that out.
Listen, let's get into some advice. I have a lot of, you know, people tap in, mothers. So let's talk to the mothers. You shared that life forced you to become honest about your capacity. Again, I love that whole concept, that framing. For the mother who keeps saying yes to everyone while quietly running on empty, how do you recognize when you're carrying too much, and what's one boundary that changed your life?
Learning to say no. No is a full sentence. That's number one. Number two, if I'm not well, my kid can't be well. And because I have chronic illness, I really have to do the very best I can to take care of myself. And there are things that happen where I've like had what they call pill fatigue, and I've just stopped taking my meds. But that doesn't help. That makes things worse. But as a mom, you really have to understand how much you can do before you are completely depleted. And the recognition of that, you know, Black women, like I said, we're a special breed. We take on more when we feel like, oh, I'm not, you know, I'm not performing, I'm not succeeding, I'm not. But we are, and you have to recognize when you are doing your very best and acknowledge that, right? Like parenting is a thankless job. They're not going to say thank you until they get to the other side and they have their own children, or they get into a situation, they go, shoot, my mom was right? We all did it. We all been there. But I really feel like we have to take that time to say, you know what? I'm going to find that babysitter. I'm going to find that friend. I'm going to find grandma, whomever you can, to say, I need a few hours. I need a few hours. And I wanted, Kaden was probably less than 3 months old at the time. And I remember showing up to church. I don't know what I looked like, but my aunt was like, give me the baby, go home. And I was just like, this is what community is for. Sometimes we need to be able to say, hey, can you? You know, my goddaughter is now 18, and the last, I want to say 2 to 3 years, I call her, I'm like, yo, can you watch him? I need to go out and hang out with my friends. You know, those kinds of things. Everybody's way of taking care of themselves is different, but you have to figure out what works for you.
Now, you once said that we're talking to the college students and young adults. At college is 90% social
and 10% academic.
10% academic. And I can attest to that. I had the strike. I done dropped out of college with a 1.7 GPA after 2 years. It was 99% social for me, right? But the academics are why you're there. So for the young adult who's trying to balance freedom, friendships, pressure, and future goals while secretly feeling lost, overwhelmed, or unsure if they're making the right decisions, how do you make choices today that your future self will thank you for? And what's one trap you hope they avoid?
Oh gosh, this is interesting. So I'm gonna say this really quickly because I want to be time conscious. My freshman year, I attempted suicide, and it was that feeling that I was alone, and I wasn't, but I felt like I was. And I had friends. I've never not had friends. but we need to figure out, first of all, when you go to college, figure out where the counseling office is. If you're a student who has a learning disability, find out where the Office of Accessibilities
ADA, yep.
is,
Mm-hmm.
because, and it's called different things on different campuses,
Mm-hmm.
but find out where those offices are immediately. Because if you feel like you're overwhelmed, you're not sure, how to navigate certain things, there are people there who you can talk to. You don't have to do it in isolation, especially if you go away to school.
Right.
And that's not to say that if you are staying home and going to school, it's the same thing, because you may not be able to talk to people in your circle. So definitely find out where those places are. But like I said, the social part is the parties and the relationships, but it's also the negotiating with professors, right? Don't take 8 o'clock classes if you're not a morning person.
Hello.
And a waste of money. If you feel like you're struggling and you're 3 weeks into class, get a tutor, ask for help. And so I always tell young people, don't be ashamed to ask for help. I'm telling you, that's the theme of my life. Ask for help. What stage of life you in, that's the only way you're going to get through it.
And I echo that too, because I teach at a community college now.
Okay.
A course on how to be successful in college. They come to me at the end of the semester, Professor, how can I make up? Stop, sir. We're not doing this. I need you to have exhausted all your options before this day. And I think we got a lazy, how can I say this? A lazy cloud that floats over society now. And I'm like, nah, you gotta step it up. And to your point, you have to advocate for you. One of the biggest things you gotta do when you get to college, nobody cares. I'm talking not like the people that's there to help you, but it's you. Mom's, dad, they home. Auntie, them, boo boo, Kiki, they home. You got to be like, hey, listen, this ain't work out. One of the assignments I give them at the beginning of the semester is where they got to go sit down with the academic counselor. It's like they're afraid to talk to staff. I'm
right.
Like,
but that's the social part. That's learning how to negotiate, those kinds of conversations. You can't be afraid of the people who are there to guide you, right? Now, granted, I always, and this comes from my upbringing, because I was raised by a teacher. I'm not giving you a grade. You are earning a grade. So what are you going to do to get the grade that you want, right? And I think that that's important for young people to understand. Ain't nobody handing out grades, especially in college. You got to work for it. You got to do something. You can't just now we at midterms and you failing and you're not sure how to figure this out. Well, did you talk to your professor?
Well, listen, half of it's showing up.
That part.
What's your attendance look like?
Don't schedule 8 o'clock classes if you're not a morning person.
Yeah, it's a struggle. So I used to like when I'm in Mass now. I used to live in PA, and in PA we did my class at the high school level. They got to opt in. I think they need it there. But before you get to college, you need how to maneuver. You know what I mean? So I really love teaching high schoolers about just the college atmosphere. Man, super, super good intel. What can they find you at? I know it's probably in the show notes, but we got your IG popping. Is that's a good place?
Yeah. I'm Verkeya _speaks, at Verkeya _speaks. That's the nonprofit page. You can also find me at Harlem Book Girl. I'm trying out a lot of different things right now. I've been doing a brunch vlog on TikTok because I really love brunch. Just trying to figure things out. I'll be honest, the nonprofit, I've kind of, again, capacity. I had to step away a little bit because school is been a big force in my life right now. So yeah.
So wait, you do like speaking too? You give talks?
Yes, I do a lot of interviewing of other people, but sometimes I just press record and talk about whatever's happening in the moment. I like to touch on things that impact, mothers, parents. I'm very inclusive, although our nonprofit is geared towards young women and women. In New York City, I definitely have a lot of conversations with men because we're all connected. So it's all a part of the community. So yeah. And I am very huge advocate in the lupus world. I do a lot of work with the Lupus Foundation of America. And that's super important work for me, trying to get people, Black women specifically, involved in research, because of course we know all of the historical reasons why we don't participate in research. However, we have to participate so that we can get medications and, get our voices heard. And so that's where my schoolwork has come into play, and I'm doing a lot of work around that in school.
Love it, man. Listen, I'm so proud of you, young lady. Can I say that? Yeah, thank you.
Fine.
This joke been on my neck because I call her Miss Verkeya. Good Lord. Listen, I want to give you the final word. If someone remembers nothing else from this conversation, what do you want them to hold on to?
That number one, it's okay to ask for help. Number two, know what your capacity is and when to take a step back. Those are the two most important things. Love it.
Well, Verkeya, I appreciate you. Listen, any way I could be of service, tap me. I'm here for you. I'll show up. I'll drive to New York if I need to. Listen, I go to New York.
Where are you in Massachusetts?
I'm about an hour out of Boston, little city, or Worcester. So if you ever up this way, we can do brunch.
I will be next year when I graduate.
Word
in Boston.
Oh, I'm there. Let me know. We got the post graduation brunch.
That works for me.
Awesome. Just give me some notice. Send me the information early. Now. Okay. All right, girl. Well, listen, appreciate you, and we'll tap in. I do want my book, and I'm gonna send you a copy of mine.
Okay.
So we do an exchange. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. Appreciate you.
Take care.
Oh man, not Miss Verkeya. She going now. She's still in the back though. She can't be. Listen, good people, that's a wrap. It's your boy. Oh man, so excited. But if something tonight spoke to your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it forward. Somebody out there needs that reminder right now. Take a moment to reflect on that 3, 2, 1, because one bold step forward will always be standing still. If this conversation challenged you, subscribe to the Breakthrough Bunker. And until next time, good people, keep building, keep believing. And you already know, nothing changes if nothing changes. Nothing changes if nothing changes. My favorite quote, I'm jacking it up. Stay resilient, and shouts out to Verkeya, and we out. Go! Put it on my hood grown, NY, Brownsville, Bed-Stuy. I done came from the lowest low, still walk with my head high. All my life, I've been through it. Made it out, I'm getting to it. Can't tell me I didn't do it. No passing L's, we skipping clubs. No taking L's, we getting